have a sip. Grab your mug, everybody. I've got a few things to share. It's another incredibly windy day here, as you may have seen in the beginning montage. And so I'm not going out, and I knew it was going to be windy. It's sunny and great temperature, but it's super windy, and I get a drippy nose even if it's warm when there's wind, and it wears on you psychologically, or at least it does on me. I don't know if some people love wind. Some people go out on the porch and just sit through storms and watch it all happen. Not me, okay? Anyway, I have some things to share, and I thought, hey, let's do that on a windy day when we're inside. And so I was up early, 4:30 or something, and I thought, where shall I start? Yes, I can start on the dishes or the laundry or sweeping the floors or cleaning the bathrooms. Yeah, of course, I should. That's what I need to be doing. But I thought, no, let me do something fun first. And I decided to do some potting up. But first, let me talk about what this is all about, because you saw that in the thumbnail. Okay, I've got it again. All right? I got it. I don't know how I got it. I didn't touch anything. There was that one day when we were over there clearing out those trees, and the whole bottom was poison ivy, but it hadn't really come up yet. And so the only thing that I recall doing is maybe dragging a few limbs out of there, but I had gloves on. So I have to assume that I got poison ivy again from my cat. Now, I have had poison ivy in the worst places in my life. I don't need to go into detail, but there was a little trip to the country back about 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and it was an old country house, and I don't even know, we were just visiting for a couple of hours, the area, and I had to go, and it was winter, so you wouldn't think, no big deal, but I excused myself behind the old farmhouse, and girls have to pull down the pants, unfortunately. And I got, somehow, something touched that flat part of your lower back there. And I had such a welt, it was that big, that I was actually taking, it was like an auxiliary class, extension class at the time, because I had studied French in college, and I thought, well, I don't want to let this go. And so I was taking a French class, after work or whatever. And I can remember, though you remember the weirdest things, but I can remember that I had, that patch was seeping. And I had a wet spot on my pants like that, right in the back. And, you remember the funny things. I mean, not necessarily funny, that was very painful. But at any rate, this time, this is a much more convenient place to have it. And you can wear a t-shirt so you're not rubbing against it, except when you're in the garden. And I got a spot here, and I thought, okay, let's see, where was it? It was right here. And I thought, I got that from my cuff. I got that from pulling my glove off without proper washing of my hands, or maybe with the other glove. You've got to get one, you got two gloves on, right? You got to get one glove off somehow. And you do it as carefully as you can, and then right there is where you're going to get it. And I got it right there, and it pretty much went away, but then it started to spread, but it stayed contained, and now it's almost gone. And I thought, wow, did I ever dodge a bullet? Because if you've been following me since I've been here, I have had some really bad cases. I had it all over my neck, under my collar, down my back, I had it around my waistband. That is the worst because you've got to wear pants. Everything's rubbing against it. You can't protect it. I've had it on my legs. You know, anywhere you have clothing rubbing is the hardest place to deal with. And so this is, and because it's cooler now, you know, I'm not freezing. So I can wear a t-shirt and treat this. Now it looks really rough right now because I wanted to show you what it looks like after. You should probably get a close-up of this. This is what it looks like after the whole night. I put this on last night and you can see it's caking off now. But what I'm using this time, hold on one second. You see, I was out shooting and I got a drippy nose just from 5 minutes on the porch. So anyway, what I'm using this time is I mixed up a little batch of bentonite clay, and you put approximately a tablespoon of clay to 1 drop, no more than 2, of extra virgin olive oil. And then you put about you start with about a teaspoon of, you know, purified water. I use distilled water because why take a chance? And distilled water, and you start mixing it up until you have a consistency, and I'll just show you, like about that. So that it coats, but it's not so thick you're rubbing mud, trying to rub mud on. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep coating it. Now I could clean this off and start over, but I find that it just inflames it. You know, I probably shouldn't be doing this right now when I want to show you some other things, but I'm doing it. And I'm telling you, you know how last night this area, and I'm not sure how much I spread it before I started putting this on because there were just some welts last night. But for all I know, the whole thing could be welts before it's all over. But I just do, you know, like that. I think I've got a spot here too. I didn't see that last night. And so that's the thing. Okay, so I saw this really great poison ivy video some years ago, you know, because I've suffered so much here. And finally got the shots one year, and I'll never do that again. Other people said they would, agreed with me on that. They would never do that again. And that feels really good. Now also I have a spot right there, right underneath the earlobe where the neck comes into the chin. It's just right there. I was just sitting there kind of scratching. I went, oh no, not there. Yes, right there. So I have before I went to bed, I put a wad of that on there, and I slept on my side this way, kept this out, you know, exposed to I have a circulating fan so it would dry. And I'm telling you, it takes between 70 to 90% of the pain and itch away while it's there, before you've rubbed it all off and gotten it irritated again. It's really amazing. And believe me, I've tried a lot of stuff. I used to try from 2000 till about 2 years ago, at least 20 years. At least 20 years, I used a product that I can't even remember the name of now. It's a rare earth minerals clay that was edible, and it was called a colon cleanse. And so I've had my colonoscopies, and I've always been clean as a whistle because I was really, at least in California, not so much here, but in California, I was very, very good about taking that every morning. I would just take a teaspoon of that in my vitamin C and my water first thing in the morning, every morning. I was always regular and always had good checkups. That's just a little food for thought. Unfortunately, you know, I was able, after I moved, I was able to get the same product on Amazon. And all of a sudden it just wasn't available. And I finally tracked down and called the company, and they said that the owner who had started it, and, you know, he passed away. And so they didn't think anybody was going to take over the company, and I was just devastated. But there is bentonite clay, and I assume there are edible versions of bentonite clay, although I have not consumed any bentonite clay, I'll just say that. But this works in the same way. I mean, my son, when he was in Boy Scouts, they had to crawl like this out in the woods. This is crazy. You know, they had on short sleeve shirts, and they're crawling like this out in the woods, and he got the worst, much worse than this. The worst. It was welts from here to here on both arms, and he had to go to school, and he was embarrassed. And I put this on his arms. My other product, not the bentonite, which is a little bit browner, more like skin tone. And I put it all on here, and he was embarrassed, and he went in the bathroom, you know, at school, and washed it all off to wet the paper towels. And they, in that particular school, they used those cheap commercial grade brown paper towels that you pull out one by one, you know, those. And he wet them and just scrub, rather than just rinsing it off and patting it dry. But you know, he was young, and so that would have worked, just to pat it dry, rinse it off. It rinses right off. He wet them and scrubbed it, and it was even 10 times worse. And then he had to go and have medicine. It was just, it was horrible. Okay, so that's enough on that. I hope that's helpful for you to try. I'm telling you, when this stuff is going crazy at night, you cannot sleep. It's too painful, it's too itching too much, you just want to. So okay, so that's that. I want to share, first of all, let me tell you what we did yesterday, and I'll show you a couple of pictures. I knew that this windy day was coming, and then we have 3 days of rain, and Chase was available. He said, "Do you want me tomorrow?" I said, "Yes, well, I'll figure out." Well, you know, I never know what his schedule is, but he's homeschooled, and so he's going to be turning 18 in a couple of months. And so he said, "I'll be there at 7, I'll work till 1. I said, "Great," you know, so I got him working on that area. If you, by the way, if you watched my videos yesterday, I had 3 premieres. I wanted to see who I could get in the chat window saying hello, and of course just a few of my regulars were there for sure, and a few others. But if you didn't get a chance to see those videos, please do, because that catches everybody up on what went on here in March. I wanted to just clean that out. And so he is working on that whole area over there by the driveway, and I said, just get to work on that. I've got this premiere coming up at 10. I can't come out till 10:30. So he worked on that. And then we went down to the lower garden. Remember I said in the garden tour that we weren't going to go down there in the tour. The only thing growing down there right now, because the peas and the onions did not do well, are is the garlic. But the garlic is surrounded by cover crop of peas and vetch this tall. It's hard to even see the garlic. So I said, this has to be cleared out. And the same thing was happening around the whole perimeter of the 5,000 square foot garden where the hot wire is. So you couldn't even see the lowest hot wire. So you know it's not effective if all of that grass is there. So I said, bring your weed whacker. So he worked on all that while I got started weeding the garlic. I got the garlic all weeded. He laid out some rows that was already tilled for, remember I have an insectiary where I have all my sunflowers and zinnias and sulfur cosmos, and I don't know, I've had a lot of different kinds of things on the right side, you know, facing the road. I like when people go by, I like them to see flowers. And so, and it's great for beneficial pollinators. So So I said, he already had that tilled, you know, before the last rain, and I said, okay, let's take my Haas Tools row setter, and if you don't have one of those, get it. I have a link below that helps my channel. If you use my link, go through my link for Haas Tools. They have some great tools. I use the weeding hoe, which is the triangular. I've done a video on that. And also the row setter, the cultivator. I have quite a number of things from Haas. And the row setter I have used every year. It's adjustable, so you can set it for 4 rows or 2 or 3, or, you know, it's, the outside is 2 feet apart, so you can judge, you know, where you want, how far away you want your rows. If you want them 18 inches or 24 inches apart, like that. So he laid it out with 2 feet rows, because last year all the sunflowers were so crowded and I didn't thin them, and it was just ridiculous, but it was gorgeous. So anyway, he laid that out, and I had the seeds in my pocket before we went down. Got all the garlic done, and that's how it looked after all the weeds were out. And I had him put down some Ivy organic all-purpose fertilizer with 6 macronutrients, macro and micronutrients, and I said put a little bit of fertilizer on each garlic, because this is the time you want to fertilize again in the spring. And then we covered it with hay, and of course it's going to rain for 3 days. So I think we got all of that. And we got sunflowers in, and I wanted to show you, gosh, I have so much to share. This is gorgeous. You know how that's my favorite word, is gorgeous. This is the Rouge, R-O-U-G-E, like rouge. Remember when we called blush rouge? And Rouge Royale sunflower. And this is botanical interest, and I do have a link below the video for botanical interest. And right now they have a pollinator package, a beneficial pollinator flower seed package. And I actually ordered some yesterday. So I ordered zinnias and I think more sunflowers. I think more of these. Oh no, there was one that was a version of reds, because you know you have so many yellows, but unless you're selling them and you've got to sell yellow, then why not grow the reds and oranges? Oh, it's just incredible. So it's time to plant your sunflower seeds in certain zones, so get that done. And I also planted, this was absolutely gorgeous, this is called Queenie Lime Red, and this is a zinnia that's called Queenie Lime Red, and it's just pinkish, limeish. It's just, I can't wait to see it. So what I did this time, and I'll show you when we go down there, is I did the rows this way because the slope's going down, and I'm hoping that the rows this way will hold back the water and not just shoot down the hill. I also planted some hollyhocks. I picked up this package of seeds in England on my 2017 trip to England, when I went to all the gardens, public and private, and made all of those videos. If you've never seen that group of photos and you would like to see what it looks like in the spring in England, then check out that link. I'll put it right up there for that playlist. Also, while we're on the subject of seeds and botanical interests, I just wanted to show you this stunning black-eyed Susan that is not yellow leaves but red. And you know this girl likes red, okay? Look at that. Does that go with my, whoops, let's show the back. You can see the color better. This is my color. And so this is a perennial, yay! Unlike the sunflowers, you gotta do that every year. So I am putting this in the meadow and hoping for the best. The Coreopsis is coming up, and so I had Black-Eyed Susan last year, the regular yellow, and I'm hoping I'm gonna try to get this in today before the rain comes tomorrow. Okay, so speaking of seeds, I was working on potting up this morning, right? And so I had this, and I did show this tray in my garden tour video, which is the last video. You know what? I don't think I gave you a good look at it in that video. I have in the past, but I'll tell you what was going on. For whatever reason, a heat mat is just not even. You know, you can grow it on a heat mat and it's just not even. Lavender benefits from cold stratification. So I seeded this with 3 or 4 seeds. The seeds are tiny, 3 or 4 seeds in each of the 50 cells. And I put this in the refrigerator before I went away in March, early March. No, maybe even longer. Maybe it was before that. And it was in the refrigerator for a full month, the whole tray with the dome on it. And of course nothing happened. I brought it in and I put it on a heat mat. And I got germination like this whole row, part of this row, and these 2 rows. So that just tells me the heat mat is uneven because this whole area was blank. So this morning I thought, the plants are so tiny, you think, oh, I'm going to scrap the whole thing. Nothing happened. It's been 2 months since I started this project. But lavender's so amazing, and it's a perennial. So you got to give it some credit. You got to give it a good try. So I did this 2 years ago. Same thing. I didn't do the stratification, but I did manage to get several, and then I separated. You know, there'll be 3 or 4 in a clump, and I separated, and I had a whole tray of 50, and they got up to here and they looked fantastic. And what happened is I did not have the garden prepared until after the spring rains, and I got them in the flower garden out front around the edge, and it didn't have enough rain. It got crowded out from sun, and the soil wasn't great, and nothing happened after all that work. So what did I do? I'm trying again. But I'm going to give it a better chance. So today I thought, well, okay, this was my last one of these. These are, by the way, these are made by Bootstrap Farmer. I'm not an affiliate, but I do recommend their seed trays. But this is a 50 cell tray that is, I'll show you the inside. Gosh, I have so much to share. I'm trying to talk really fast to get through it. But you see the size of the cells underneath. So this is an intermediary from their first size, which is the 6 cell that are like 1.5 inch at the top, 1 inch at the bottom. They're a little bit longer, which is really nice because it gives the roots. But what was amazing is what you see on top is so tiny, and you can see how tiny these plants are. But when you pull them out, there's like 2 inches of roots in there. And you're going, if you're working that hard and you're developing that many roots, you've got a chance to live and develop. And I'm going to give you a chance to live. So I took this whole, wait, you can't see it. This whole section was empty. And I took the 2s and 3s and I took them all out and I put one in every one. And there were this was English lavender. It's a different brand of seeds. I think it was Southern Exposure. And then all of this is botanical interest, except for these. So I've got them marked, and I'm very curious to see the difference in the lavender. And then I had 6 more, 6 additional, and I just put it in this 6-pack. There's actually 2 in 2 of these, so there's actually 8 here. So we'll see what develops. Okay, enough of that. And fenugreek, I told you that I was having trouble with fenugreek, so I just reseeded that again today. This is Territorial Seeds. They have a lot of fenugreek in the package. Fenugreek has benefits for female issues, and I still haven't looked it up, but I remember that. And remember the giant ironweed from last year? I'll put the video up there. That's a wild plant. I saved a lot of seed, and I have seeded that. I seeded that. Of course, I didn't put the date on it, and it's been about a week or longer. I think I'm clearing off this side. I wanted to point this out. If you don't have one of these, you know, because not everybody has a greenhouse with their perfect circulating fans and to circulate the air and all that. You may be like me and you're doing all this in your dining room or your bedroom or wherever, your bathroom. And these little, you can recharge these with a USB, and it has 3 speeds. That's the low speed. You can probably hear the highest speed, but it's very quiet, and you can charge it and then move it around. And so I just have one of these, and I just move it around from section to section so that, you know, the plants get a little bit of movement. They're not just sitting there, because when the stems have movement, they get stronger. And I'm sure everybody knows that, but I thought I would I got this on Amazon, but I'm sure you can find something like this. What it's actually for, I didn't buy it for that. I bought it because, let's see, it seems like my son and I were going to go to a tennis match, and it was going to be very hot, and I bought a couple of these. Oh, no, I bought it for that purpose, for him and his wife to go. That's right, I wasn't going to go, but I gave him one, and I kept one. Okay, so I just want to give a big shout out to our friend Scott Wilson at Gardener Scott's YouTube channel, and he has his first book. Everybody wants a book. I want a book. He's got a book, and it's raised bed gardening, and this is the future for everybody like me who's getting older, who doesn't want to be down on your knees. It's very hard on your knees. To garden in ground, and it took me 3 days to get over planting the onions and peas down in the lower garden, and it doesn't look like any of that is going to be okay. So I will never plant onions in the ground again. You heard it here. So be sure and check out, if you're into raised bed gardening, support our friend Gardener Scott and get his book. It is available on Amazon. I did a pre-order, and mine just came a couple of days ago. And I wanted to share this book. I was down at my favorite little market in Lebanon, and where I buy some milk and fresh vegetables, and I actually took my loofah down there, but I don't think anybody knew what it was, and so the loofahs didn't sell, unfortunately. I think the sweet potatoes did, but anyway. Mallory is the proprietor, and she does a pantry box, and she also cooks in the like a lunch, and she always posts on her Instagram for Demeter's Common, however you pronounce it. It's Demeter's Common in Lebanon, and she'll post every day on what she's making up that day, and you go down around lunchtime and you just buy a plate to go, or you could possibly eat it there. They have a little sitting area. And so on St. Patrick's Day, I was in there, and she made this col cannon, and it is a potato dish that's very popular in Ireland, and it was so delicious. And I said, you've got to give me the recipe. And well, she told me what it was when I was in there, and I said, what's that? And she goes and gets the cookbook, and it's called Victuals. And you can actually find this on Amazon or possibly some other place. Victuals. And it's by Ronnie Lundy, R-O-N-N-I, Lundy. And it is recipes for Appalachia. So I'm very close to Appalachia, and this should be on my shelf. So I hope to be doing a recipe from this book and sharing it with you. So I thought I would go ahead and share with the book with you right away. Okay, I'm almost there. I think I've almost... I just wanted to show you a little update on my vanilla extract. So this is the way it looks after 6 months. You can still see through it a little bit. You can still see the vanillas in there. So it's got a few months to go. And this was the first one I did. Same thing. So I can't wait to be able to put that in little bottles and share that with my friends. And I think that that might be everything for right now. That was a mouthful. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed your coffee or your tea while you're watching. If you have any questions for me, leave them below. I just wanted to also mention, if you're still with me, thank you. I wanted to mention that my 13th, yes, 13th anniversary is coming up in 20 days. On Earth Day, April 22nd, I premiered my first episode of Late Bloomer on April 22nd, 2012. I started planning the show, and it was more of a show back then. I had a production team, I had an editor, a sound editor. At that time, there were no music sources where you could buy a monthly contract so that you could use music the way Epidemic Sound is now. Well, Epidemic Sound has been around since at least 2017 or 16, but in 2012 there was nothing. So if you wanted music, and YouTube has always been very strict about music, if you wanted music in your videos, you had to get a composer to make some, which is what I did. Now, she made me some little tracks. The videos were short in the beginning. There were what the editor worked with was 3 to 5 minutes, only twice a month. And so the music that I purchased was like 15 and 20-second bits that would segue or get you, and of course I had a jingle that was set. I had a jingle for the beginning and a jingle at the end. And so that was set. I paid for all of those things. I paid for the editor, the sound editor, and I also had a motion graphics artist that did the little animations because I wanted the show to be appealing to children. And so if I was talking about a slug or a snail or whatever in the video, then I would have her make something for the end title with a little snail going across, or the monarch butterfly. And of course, computer animation has gone wild in the last decade, and now we have AI. So you look at all this stuff on YouTube, and it just looks so artificial. And those animations looked artificial too, but they were a sweet addition, you know. And so it was a very different time. And I'm coming up on my 13th anniversary, and I would like to do something special. I don't know what, so it's got to be soon. So if you have a thought on that, please leave me a comment below. And if you're new here, thank you for subscribing to my channel, and thank you for watching. And I hope you find my videos inspirational and make you want to get out and garden, or make your own food, or make your own vanilla extract, or whatever, you know, grow lavender. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.